Hey and welcome everyone. My name is still Tobi. This is our little insight. We are by now reaching 12th episode, and this week we are going to have a look at the subject of overcoming guilt and shame. So this is a very interesting subject, so let's have a look at it right after the intro. Now let's assume you have made a mistake in your past. Now if you are a very holy person, maybe you have not made any mistakes in your past. But if you're anything like me, then you've definitely made some mistakes in the past and you regret them now. And you feel shameful about them. Maybe you still feel kind of a weight of guilt on your shoulders. Now what are those two actually? What is it? What is shame? What is guilt? Now guilt really is when you continue to punish yourself. You might have already received some sort of punishment. There might have been already some consequences from your action in the past, and maybe not. But if there is no punishment, or if there was a punishment, regardless, we usually keep punishing ourselves in our own mind. That's what guilt really is. So we keep looking into ourselves through the lens of our past, through the lens of, well, I shouldn't have, or I could have made that differently. And then we feel bad about ourselves. Now that's what shame actually is. You look back into your past, you find a mistake, you find some faults, some misbehavior, and you feel that this is really you right now, which is actually not true. You've done something in your past that was an action in the past, but it is by no means you right now. But that's how it feels like for most of us. We're looking back into our past at some mistakes we made, or maybe something that feels really shameful for us, really regretful about it. Then we look at that action and we feel that this is me. This is who I really am. And that's what's making us feel so bad about ourselves all the time. So this is what this shame is. However, there is also a positive type of shame. It's that type of shame that helps you not to do anything negative. For example, the shame of using foul language in front of children. You feel shameful to do that, so you don't do it. It's kind of a protective force that holds you back from committing any actions that are hurtful or painful for other people. Now I can't possibly yell at that person. I can't do this. Is inappropriate. I would feel shameful about doing that. Now this kind of feeling is actually something good. You want to cultivate it. Feeling shameful to commit any action that leads to suffering for yourself and others now and in the future. That's a good kind of shame. However, the bad type of shame that I'm talking about would be the sort of shame that keeps you paralyzed in this moment. It makes you kind of unable to move on. You continuously contemplate the past and how bad, what a bad thing you did, and how bad of a person that really makes you. Now this would be the kind of wrong shame that paralyzes you, doesn't help you in your life. So guilt and shame, they come often together. You feel guilty about having done something. Well, I'm guilty of having done that. And then at the same time you feel like, oh God, what a bad person I am. Looking at yourself like this, you can feel sort of a disgust, being disgusted with yourself. So that's kind of shame is almost like a way of receiving the punishment that the guilt intends for you to go through. So the guilt kind of says, you need to be punished. And shame fulfills that punishment over and over again. The wrong kind of shame, the shame that paralyzes you, as I said before. Now what allows these two feelings of guilt and shame, actually what allows them to survive? Because if we know what really causes them, what nourishes them, we might also be able to let go of them through letting go of their causes, right? If you let go of a cause of something, then the result cannot show. If you take out a seed, if there's a seed, a rose seed in the ground, and you take out the seed, it can rain as much as it wants to. There can be sunshine, the ground can be really fertile, but the rose will not sprout. It's the same thing if you take away the causes of guilt and shame, then guilt and shame cannot survive. So what are the causes of guilt and shame? So the first and most important cause for guilt and shame to arise or to survive is absolutely that there is no mindfulness. We do not see ourselves. And in such an environment where there is no self-knowledge, guilt and shame can really grow, and they can survive, and they can breathe. Can almost say that the absence of mindfulness is like the oxygen for suffering. The more mindfulness there is, the more powerful your mindfulness becomes, the less suffering can actually breathe. Guilt and shame, they need to stay in the shadow. They don't like to be seen. Because once you see them, you have the ability, you have the chance to actually change your pattern and not be trapped in it anymore. You finally realize it's like somebody that is born in a prison and never knows that there's anything else but the prison cell. He will feel good in the prison cell some days, might feel bad some days, he has relationships to other prisoners. It's just life goes on day by day, and that person would have never ever a clue that there is anything else but prison, unless there is someone bringing their attention to the fact that there is something else than being imprisoned. And that might spark some interest. Now here's the same thing. There is another option for you. You don't have to go through these processes of feeling guilty or feeling shameful about yourself, particularly not in the case if it is not a learning experience for you, but if it is just paralyzing you, tying you to the ground, making you unable to change your life for the better because you're dwelling on a past image of yourself that could have by now already been changed into something more positive. Is you're keeping it alive, really. You're keeping the problem alive by dwelling on it all the time, and dwelling on it all the time depends on mindfulness. So it depends on no mindfulness, right? So this is the first kind of thing that keeps it alive. The secondary causes or factors would be that there are habitual tendencies. Really, you can say a guilt or shame, they can quickly turn into a habit, and for most of us, they are already a habit. It just requires us really to push the button, and then the guilt machine goes, and it goes for a while, and it goes really efficiently. The same is true for shame. It's kind of one of the wheels in the guilt machine. So it runs seamlessly, it runs without any problem, and it runs in the background like some background operations on your phone that you have no clue that they are running, but still they consume significant amount of battery power. It's the same for guilt and shame, really. So they are habitual tendencies. And again, the survival of a habit depends on mindfulness being absent. So you need to be heedless or absent-minded for a habit to survive continuously. And the third thing that is a contributing factor, or that helps you to understand guilt and shame from a different angle, really, is the factor of surrounding things. Like, let's say, people who keep you constantly reminded of your past mistakes, people who are looking down upon you for what you did. They're not in any way uplifting, they're not helping you to change your ways, they kind of keep you trapped, they just judge you, point the fingers at you. So it's very, very important to surround yourself with the right kind of people, people who help you to change anything that is harmful for you. Those are, we'll call real friends. People in whose surrounding your life gets better and not worse. What does it mean, better? It really means suffering is decreasing day by day, happiness is growing day by day. I will consider that really good. If you are around such people that help you to grow in such an inspiring way, and that are very, very good positive factors that help also eliminating the pattern of guilt and shame. Now, how to overcome guilt and shame? To make it really simple and short, be present. Be mindful of this moment. Learn the art of letting go of your past and your future on top of that too. So by learning to let go of future and past, you come into the here and now. And in the here and now, there is really no serious mental problem concerning the past that has disappeared. So that takes away a huge deal of momentum from the pattern of guilt and shame. And another tip I would like to give you that comes from my heart is contemplate your positive actions. That's very, very important. You want to actually every evening before you go to sleep, go through your day in your mind if you have the time. Most of us do have the time. Or even write a diary. Think about what you did today that you found inspiring, that makes you feel respectful for yourself. And makes you feel like, yes, I'm doing the change. I'm getting better. I'm not repeating the same kind of negative action anymore. I discontinue to hurt and harm myself via my thoughts, my speech, and my actions. And instead, I'm developing and cultivating wholesome habits in body, speech, and mind. That's a great thing to do and will definitely make you feel better about yourself. My third tip is contemplate also the changes that you have already made on your way. Like very often we feel like, well, nothing's going on and I'm stuck on my path and my meditation doesn't develop and I don't seem to find the right friends to surround myself with. Life seems boring, it seems dull and so forth. So we're kind of complaining or feeling that nothing is really changing, but that is actually not true. Look back at your past and see yourself in the light of your past right now and see what changes you have already made. Now that is very important, to actually celebrate the positive changes that you're continuously making. That is a great factor for happiness to arise and for feeling good about yourself. And it is also a motivating factor actually. It motivates you to do more of it because it feels like rewarding. And last but not least is the practice of kindness. Learn to be kind with yourself, receive yourself, and that includes your guilt and your shame pattern within a kind, accepting, forgiving space. Allow that stuff to be there in your mind. Don't battle it, don't fight it. In fact, liberate it, release it from the grip of your wish to control it, to be in control of it, to get rid of it, to push it away or something like this. Instead, release it, set it free, allow it to be there without fighting against aspects of yourself. So this completes the 12th episode of our little insight. I hope you could take some meaningful information from it and it was helpful for you. It's really a big topic, I must admit, and I'm just scratching the surface. That's why these kind of little episodes are called Little Insight. This is not a scholarly approach. These are just a few reflections. And well, with the hope, I'm putting them out there with the hope that it might help some of you. However, if you have still any questions about that topic, please let me know. Write them down in the comment section below. Don't be shy. And well, for now, I think that's it. Have a great next week. I'm looking forward to see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.